Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome to In the Headlines, where we will shortly be discussing the central newspapers and the news updates of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. And to discuss this, I am joined in the studio with Taleh Ahmed, who is the journalist for MTA News, and Umar Bhatti, who is our analyst for In the Headlines. We're going to start off with this week with Huzur, which is something I think a lot of Ahmadis around the world always wait for. And this week has been just as active, just as jam-packed as has been any other week. What can we expect to see with regards to this week with Huzur?
So the MT International crew were fortunate to be present at the Al-Fazl Mosque complex on Saturday and Sunday, and there are a number of things that we covered. On Saturday morning there was a mulaqat with German Khudam. Later that evening the German delegation had actually brought a guest, a local politician named Mr. Heiner Tolke. And after his mulaqat, he said some very interesting things. The first thing he said is that as a politician in his role, he'd been fortunate to meet a number of very high-ranking political figures in the world. And yet on meeting Huzur, he'd never met somebody quite so humble. And another thing he met is that he was so overawed or pleased with his spiritual countenance that he said he now wants to go back and bring his friends from Germany to meet Huzur again. So this was the impact of meeting His Holiness. Now he said this to one of the hosts in the German delegation. Afterwards we interviewed him, and in English I don't think that fully came across, so I thought it was an opportunity to mention that here, but still it's a very nice interview even in English. And then on Sunday again we were able to join His Holiness to interview a delegation from the National Amla of Khudam Canada.
All right, and these things have also been recorded in the Al-Hakam newspaper as well. Speaking of the Al-Hakam newspaper, Umar, this week's edition has actually been dedicated to Hazrat Muslih Maud, may Allah be pleased with him, the son of the promised Messiah, peace be upon him, the promised son who was prophesied to be bright and intelligent. And there's a lot of things in here, but what is there that is outstanding the most?
Yeah, as we know, on the 20th of February, it was prophesied by promised Messiah that there would be a promised son. And Al-Hakam have actually taken an interview with Huzur, a very blessed interview, and I think for the readers it will be very, very emotional as well, because there are some couple of instances which Huzur mentions being present at the demise of the second caliph of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. And also we know that he was, there was a prophecy saying that nations will be blessed through him, and during these political instabilities, His Holiness the second caliph published a lot of articles and books regarding what the solutions are to these instabilities around the world.
It's something really to look at, an exclusive interview with His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper. Of course, you can catch up with this on alhakam.org. But moving on to Al-Fazl, last week, Al-Fazl covered a book comprising of all of the guidance of His Holiness with regards to social media. This week, there is a special article about a book talking about the Islamic covering known as the parda, or the veil. And of course, this is a very contemporary issue. So what can readers expect to see about that?
Yes, parda is a very contentious issue indeed, especially in the Western world. There was actually a recent poll published and the question was whether Islam was compatible with within a Western world. And one of the issues obviously is the veil. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Muslim women do feel inferior, inferior complex to this issue. So therefore this book itself actually answers all those misconceptions and tells the reader all about parda.
So guidance for young Muslims out there who might feel that they have an inferiority complex about any sort of Muslim values or the covering itself, can have a read of this in Al-Fazl to come. So unfortunately that's all we've got time for this week. You can always catch up with Al-Hakam on alhakam.org. For Al-Fazl, it's alfazl.org, and for MTA News, of course, you can catch up on MTA News on YouTube and on MTA Online as well. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.